We now have some first real information about the seasonal PvP server in New World, and I've got to tell you, it actually sounds kind of good. If you're not sure what this is, basically when season 7 comes, which I think is on the 21st of January, there's going to be these seasonal servers. It's a season that lasts 3 months. Your character, once you've finished, it's basically a fresh start server, and your character will then move to a server of your choice, which I assume can be a fresh start server, which might be a reason to do this depending on who you are. Just quickly before we go through this though, if you're looking for some people to play with and you're a little bit scared of the PvP server, come and join my Discord, watch me on Twitch. I will be playing with people from the channel and stuff like that. Everybody's welcome. If you want to do that, please come ahead and join. You don't have to be good at PvP. You don't even have to like PvP. Just come join. It'll be fun. The tagline of this season is that it's going to be always on PvP with accelerated leveling and exclusive rewards. One, if you're a PvPer, you're definitely going to want. They talk about the vision for this server, and you know, we're going to go through the information, but what they ideally want is people all around the map, not just doing the MSQ. They want people all around the world engaging and fighting. And even if you're lower level, if you've got some of the newer gear, it should also make you relevant in the fights. But how are they going to make that happen? Well, we actually get the details. So the first thing here that they talk about though is the challenges of implementation. Basically, people think, oh, it's just flagging up at PvP. It's not that hard. But what they have to do is make sure that these seasonal worlds don't affect the normal servers. And that was something that I'm concerned about. And they actually do say that that's not going to happen. They say a robust safety net ensures items like these Ethereal and Conqueror's gear, which we'll come back to in a minute, will remain exclusive to the seasonal worlds, preventing disruption to the Aeternum's economy. That's one thing I was concerned about. If they actually make it so that there's no crossover, fantastic. Now let's talk about the actual details. The Ethereal and Conqueror's gear are basically two types of gear. One's less powerful and one's more powerful. So the Ethereal gear is still more powerful, I think, than your normal items, but it's not quite as powerful as the Conqueror's items. I think the Conqueror's items are going to be like named special unique perks and all this kind of stuff, where the Ethereal items are going to be these cheap items that are relatively cheap to craft, but they both drop when you die and they both have durability. And actually the Conqueror's gear loses more durability on death. So the more you die with it, the less you're going to have it. Now, both types of this gear is going to be stronger than other items. The weapons are all going to have increased base damage by 20%. Armor and jewelry are going to have an extra 3% damage absorption per piece. And apparently there's no gems, which I'm kind of happy about there being no gems in this piece of gear, because gems on the fresh start server was absolutely a massive pain in the backside. So this is a good change just straight off the bat. Might cause a reason not to do some of the professions, but I mean, let's not worry about that right now. So what happens is these ethereal items are needed because they're going to enable you to get wraith stones. These wraith stones are the things that you then craft the more powerful Conqueror's items with. But the ethereal items are relatively cheap, for the Conqueror's items aren't. Also worth noting that these wraith stones though are going to drop on death. So if you're out farming them and you've got loads of them and then somebody comes along and kills you, well, they're going to get taken as well. Now, the only way to get these wraith stones is actually super interesting, to be honest with you. You can get them while farming the elite POIs, darkness breaches, and gathering resources. Now, the first two are kind of like group activities. Whether or not that'll work in a raid or anything like that, I'm not 100% sure at the minute. Or gathering resources. One thing I didn't say, by the way, is that PvP flagging starts at level 15 or as soon as you join a faction. So if you join a faction at maybe like level 12, you become PvP flagged all that point onwards. Or if you get to level 15, you just flagged without a faction. Some madhead is going to try doing this without joining a faction. Good luck to you. So you get the ethereal items, you then go and farm wraith stones, but you can also get ethereal items and you can salvage them and they'll give you ethereal dust. Now it says frequent crafting is advised due to high demand. You can also get ethereal dust from refining wood or fiber, etc. So you get it from refining and you get it from salvaging ethereal gear. You can then also get something called an ethereal animus, and the ethereal animus is crafted at the refining station for 100 dust. And this is where the high demand statement kind of makes sense, because when you open that, you're actually going to get 2,500 experience, which is going to speed up leveling altogether, and the leveling is going to be much quicker across the board anyway. And when you open that, you get an extra chance of some of this other stuff. Some of it doesn't sound that interesting, but some of it is. You can get sandpaper, tanning solvent, flux, and wire weave. I kind of wish that this was on live servers, by the way, because the price of flux at the minute is like 4 gold and the price of sandpaper is not far behind. It's pretty stupid, Amazon. If you're like watching this, or for whatever reason, change that on the live servers, on the fresh servers. I don't want to be paying 4 gold per flux. It's crazy. Bring back the converters. Anyway, you can also get ethereal mount food, mount straps and shoes, and all tier 4 heart runes. And then probably more importantly for this server, you get the crafting recipes for the Conqueror's weapons. One of the things that they do talk about, how they want this season to be about accessibility and respecting players' time. So a couple of things they've done to ensure this, and I've got to say, I actually kind of like the idea. They're going to reduce the grind by doing a couple of different things. So the first thing they're going to do is all player XP, weapon mastery, trade skill XP is increased by 25% in this world. So just leveling is going to be much quicker. Obviously, if you do the Ethereal animus as well, you're going to get 2,500 XP with that. It's going to be way quicker to level. If you are somebody who's kind of relatively new to the game, it would be a little bit weird starting on a PvP server, but you could maybe do this server, get all your trade skills up, and then hopefully get to a fresh start server because of the trade skill XP. Could be worth it. Not really sure that's going to happen, but you never know. They talk about the ethereal dust and how that's going to work, which they've already spoke about, so I'm not going to go over again. All the ethereal gear has a level 15 requirement, and the Conqueror's gear has a level 20 requirement. So actually, it's going to be really, really powerful, I think, very early on. And it says you can be competitive even at lower levels if you've got the right gear, which is definitely interesting. I'm not sure how cheap is cheap, but they said the crafting cost for each ethereal item is half the material cost of the same item equivalent. I'm really hoping they're not expecting us to get prismatics, by the way, but you know, okay. Well, they go through the gear scores, right? So tier 2 is 350, tier 3 is 600, tier 4 700, and then tier 5 would be 725. I don't know if tier 5 is prismatics or if tier 5 normally 700 gear score stuff that would then be 725 stuff. You know, like a Azov inductor. It could be that those like that's like Azov inductor level, and then it would be half the mats. So I mean, yeah, could be good. Could be good. Now this next step I actually think is pretty huge, and I'm very happy to see it, because what I was worried about on the PvP server, I was like, what you're going to get is you're going to get some toxic people, and they're going to camp specific areas because they know they're going to be bottlenecks. And the two that I always called out was the mount and the heart rune. Obviously the mount is early on and the heart rune is a little bit later, but I thought you'd get some toxic people who would just go there, sit there, maybe would do it themselves, maybe they'd be in a group, and they'd just kill people who came up to do those quests. Well, you don't have to do those quests, so they're just ditching that as an idea. The mount skill is just going to automatically unlock as soon as you hit level 15. You do, and then you craft your first mount and you get special food from any camp. And then you can also obtain high-end mount strats and horseshoes from the ethereal animuses. So you literally don't need to do anything mount-wise, any like quests or anything like that. And then the next one is the heart rune. The heart rune is basically the same. It's just unlocked as soon as you get the heart runes, you equip them. Well, you have to be level 65. Cool, good change. Actually, really positive change. I mean, for this PvP server, it makes sense. The whole goal seems to be probably, like, people will do the MSQ. The MSQ still will be very quick, but obviously the MSQ is going to be a lot of PvP. People might just literally wait on the track, waiting for people to come through and then kill them. But you can also go out and farm and gather and stuff like that, and then you can level up. So yeah, quite a few options. We should start seeing people spread out. If you really don't want a lot of PvP, you'll probably go out and gather. But if you want to just be, you know, thrown into the deep end, you'll PvP on the MSQ, I think. And then one of the next questions is, why bother doing it, I guess? Oh, I actually didn't see this when I read it the first time. Players start out with recipes to craft the Conqueror's Swarm heavy armor, but you're able to craft that with Wraith Stones. However, you do the Ethereal Animuses, I think, to unlock the weapons. I wonder if this means there's no medium or light armor in the Conqueror's gear, which would be kind of funny because it harkens back to Voidbent, the gear we all had when the game first launched. I hope it looks like that, otherwise I might be a little bit disappointed. I don't think it does. I think it's probably going to look like that, but you know, if it was Voidbent, I'd love it. And then they give 2 examples of the weapons, and these sound very fun. Some of them are just normal perks, but they are basically like artifact level perks with normal perks, if that makes sense. So for example, the Crescent's Wave Greatsword is, while above 50% health, heavy attacks consume 20 mana to cast a wave projectile forward, dealing 150 weapon damage, 150% weapon damage. So every time you do a heavy attack, you're just going to do like a wave AoE in front of you. I don't know how far it's going to be, but it sounds insane. It also has refreshing move, leeching, crosscut, and trenchant strikes. I mean, yeah, sounds fun, but maybe not as fun as the Yeetison's Hammer. I kind of wish that this was called the Yeetison's Hammerson, but you know, obviously it is what it is. And it includes yeet, and you will see people getting yeeted and deleted. Basically, it does a 400% push distance and 30% base damage to all Warhammer knockbacks. and clear out will ignite the first target hit, turning them into a projectile, causing 150% weapon damage to all enemies they pass through. It's basically going bowling with the Yeaterson's hammer. So if you do like clear out and you like knock somebody into somebody else, it does even more damage. That sounds so fun and so funny. Also has clear out, plague strikes, and refreshing roof. And by the sounds of it, Amazon are going to be doing a little bit of milking, which I'm kind of okay with. But basically they say this: seasonal exclusive rewards like titles, mount attachments, and skins are designed to make your time on these worlds unforgettable, which are obtained through a new journey for the seasonal server inside of the season pass and seasonal server specific leaderboards. To obtain rewards from the seasonal server journey, you must purchase the season pass. So whilst you can get the rewards from the leaderboard, I assume for free, if you want all the stuff from the journey, you're gonna have to pay. It ain't free. It's basically a seasonal content, I guess is what they're saying. It's like, we made the seasonal content, you can play it, but if you want the rewards, you gotta pay us. And you know what? I am completely okay with that. Now, I was a little bit worried personally about the end game on this server. I kind of feel like the content is the leveling, because once you get to the end game, I can't necessarily see myself doing the Gorgon raid weekly, which by the way, we've been doing on Sunday if you want to join, link in the description. But this is what they say: compete with your company or by yourself against other players to earn unique rewards on seasonal server specific leaderboards, such as mount attachments, a helm skin, tent skin, and a new PvP focused housing item, well, housing trophy. And this is really the one that's interesting, because this trophy basically gives you a bonus to PvP experience. Now, I would not be that bothered by that if it wasn't for the absolute garbage artifact system. But that, I'll tell you right now, a lot of people would want that right now. I mean, if you just fix the PvP artifacts, that would be a little bit less enticing, but yeah, okay. This trophy though will become available to everybody at some point, probably in the next season. You can still do wars and all that jazz, and there are some couple of interesting things, by the way, just in general in PvP. The respawn timers in PvP have been extended, which does mean that when there's like influence races and stuff like that, the fight should be a little bit more balanced. I don't know why they're not just doing that on live, but they're doing it on this server at least. And then eventually, once you've finished, your character can transfer, ensuring all the efforts from your seasonal server actually carries over to, I presume, a server of your choice, which it would make sense to pick a fresh start server. They don't actually say that, but I'm assuming it can be fresh. There's no reason why it can't. And what's going to happen is actually the Ethereal and the Conqueror's gear is going to convert to an item replacement. Obviously, I'm assuming the very overpowered gear will not be the same item. It'll be a different item, obviously, unless they convert it into artifacts, which, let's be honest, would be really funny. If Yeaterson's hammer became an artifact and you got it on the PvP server, I mean, it could be, but they've not announced that. They've said it's just going to be a similar gear score, right? Conqueror's gear, for example, will be converted to 715, while the Ethereal gear will be converted to 705. So it's not even like bis, but you know, if it's powerful gear with good perks, yeah, it could be good, because they are going to be PvP focused perks. Interesting indeed. Overall, the gameplay is going to be really interesting. It sounds like everybody's going to be spread across the map, because there's going to be a lot of gathering, crafting, refining, and that kind of stuff. And then there's going to be people farming the POIs, doing corruption breaches, doing, you know, the elite areas and that kind of thing, which sounds good. I still think the MSQ will be a little bit congested and a little bit, you know, toxic, but if you can level up by doing other things with that 25% XP boost and the 2500 XP packages, then maybe it won't be that bad. Getting the mount for free, basically getting the heart room for free, there's some good decisions. They've obviously thought about some of it, and yeah, I mean, it actually sounds pretty decent. I don't think this is going to save New World or anything like that. There's just simply not enough marketing or enough interest in the game. It's cool, I'll be there, and as I said at the start, if you want to play with us, link in the description. We'll be doing a PvP run. Everybody's welcome in our group. It sounds like it's going to be fun. For now, let me know your thoughts. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.